Hi folks, so Allie wants lasagna for supper, so that's what we're gonna do. We're making lasagna. I have to head out to the garden though and harvest a few other items before we get started. Come along for the journey. Okay, so we're out in the garden. I gotta harvest a zucchini. And don't mind me, I'm in my jammy pants still. Here we go. It's the funny shaped one. It'll work though. Now for some herbs. Now over to the herb garden. We need some oregano. Down in here. A couple of sprigs. Hard to do with one hand. And go for some parsley too. Have to have fresh parsley in with your lasagna. Yummy. Oh, and just a little update. That flower finally bloomed, and it's not what I thought it was going to be, but it's certainly beautiful. Okay, so this is some of the stuff that I'm going to be using. My canned tomatoes from last year. And these ones are already zooped up with onions and peppers and celery. So we'll use those. And I'll use a dented can of mushrooms, some tomato paste to thicken up our sauce, ground beef of course, a green pepper, garlic, celery, and part of our zucchini from the garden, our oregano and parsley. So let's get to it. I'm going to be frying up the hamburger in this first, along with some onions. That's one thing I'm forgetting, onion. So there we go, we have our onion. And I will also be adding in some other spices that I will show you along the way. So let's get started with our ground beef. And I just had it thawing out in the sink for a few hours. In warm water, I should say. And we're going to take some olive oil, put that into our pan, good amount, and take our meat, put it in there. And what I want is something to smash it up with. Still a little bit frozen. Turn the heat on to about a 5. And one thing that I always add when I'm working with ground beef is the Worcestershire sauce. So just a couple of dribbles of that. Okay, for the garlic, this garlic has to be used up. My cousin had it for quite a while, so I'm going to use the whole bulb in there. Can never have enough garlic. And these I keep for fire starting material. So you can see that the garlic clearly is past its prime, but I'm still going to use it up anyways. And I'm going to use it with my Pampered Chef garlic press. So it comes out nice and fine. Put the next one in. This one's a bit harder to push because it's not as fresh. Okay, now we're going to go in with the onion. And you can technically try to grow another onion from this. Right. My uncle's a chef. I should really take some tips from him. My Uncle Freddy. All right, looks good. Okay. Onions are in there. Next, we'll do the celery and the green pepper. I'm gonna even use the leaves too. Okay. I think I'm going to turn up the heat too a little bit, folks. I'm going to turn it right up to a 7, 7.5. All right.
And canned vegetables, that was logical. Plus, those of you who are preparing, you bought the cans you needed for dinner, and then you typically bought a handful more to put in the closet in case you needed them. So that made sense. That's not only a preparedness item, but it's a day-to-day item. And with everyone cooking at home, the small cans disappeared. Now, what's funny is locally, I noticed the restaurants were trying desperately, since they were closed, they got shut down, desperately trying to get rid of their cans and their big stuff. So there were local stores, you could go to the manager and say, look, I need unlimited capacity. Can I buy a number 10 can of corn from you? And the guy'd say, sure, and he'd look in his book and kind of say, okay, I paid X for it, I'll add 10% for my taxes, and I rebought, meat at the taco place in the tube from the manufacturer, and 3 pounds of meat, and I just cut it up and vacuum sealed it. So that makes sense. I'll give him that one. We'll clean it supplies for 2 reasons. One, the affection, and 2, you had your kids at home, and children are like their own contagion, right? They put dirt and snot everywhere. So yeah, I'll give them that one. I did see that aluminum can shortage, so I'll give you this one. That was, I keep saying food and beverage and aluminum cans. We already talked about cans. They get a half a point because they're repeating themselves. But yeah, we did see a can shortage, and the crafters fan, but on a hot day, a good cold Molson, of course, is perfectly fine by me. I'm a little bit more craft beerish nowadays, but still, they get half a point, but that goes hand in hand with the canned food. Let's go further down. ready-to-eat foods. Oh, I guess like ramens, pre-cooked solutions and easy-to-make meals in a box like macaroni and cheese became very popular on shelves, so that makes sense.
Okay guys, it's coming along pretty good here. I am going to add a little bit of salt. And this is the pink Himalayan that I keep in a mason jar. And I have the roaming prepper playing in the background. It's on a live stream, I think. Yeah, a live stream. Oh, no, pre-recorded. Premiere. So if you haven't seen him, go check him out. Nice guy. Knowledgeable. Let's do some herbs. So hopefully the flavors from the herbs will sink into our ground beef. There we go. I think I'm going to go in with some additional onion powder, garlic powder. Oh, I need to refill that one. And some crushed chilies. Just a few of those. Alex doesn't like anything too hot. And that will give us some more flavor. And then we'll be on to our sauces. Not that sauce.
Truth of the matter is, this guy knew the area. He'd been there for a while taking care of his old man. He went home, Pop died, he came back to start saying everything was family to I think it's that beach. Apparently during the day, like, you know, he had texted his sister that morning, I'm going to get a drink, he was going to hang out with the fishing, go running over, and his kid. That's really a mess. And it's sad, you know, it's again.
Looking pretty good. Let's get our sauces on now.
And by the way, don't pick fights with fire, they're strong as shit, they get hurt. But they come running out and it takes off. Like,
go.
100, not even 50, 100 yards from the fire station. And the attacks and takes her first. This is another one. Stepfather of the Texas firefighter found dead in Cancun says his actions were out of character. He was a firefighter.
The second can.
At a hotel in Cancun.
Oh, I don't even know if we're going to need the second one. Yeah, let's go for it. So I can make a second lasagna. Had to come off. Oh my cow. Here we go.
Mexican authorities said in a statement that Snow's body was found stuck in the window of a bathroom at the hotel. Forensic report.
And it's pretty watery.
As mechanical asphyxia due to thoracic abdominal.
Pretty watery, so I'm going to go in with a can of the tomato paste. Tomato paste is one thing I've yet to learn. So I'm turning this up to an 8 now. Hopefully some of this excess liquid will evaporate. And we're going in with our tomato paste. All right. Handy scraper, it's right in there. I should be doing this in my big pot, but I have my St. John's wort boiling in there. Might even need a second can of the tomato paste. So while all of this starts to cook down, I'm going to put the water in the pot for the noodles. So they say they're oven ready noodles, but I mean the amount of time that it takes to cook these things in the oven when your lasagna is in there, it takes way too long. So I'm going to pre-cook them, not all the way through, but only part way through, and that way they're not so floppy that they tend to break when they're overcooked. So just enough so that I could still work with them and they're not fully cooked.
Want that, and I want you to go away. All right. So next topic: China, everyone's favorite communist country. So
Awesome.
You know, as you all know, they've been harassing.
Okay, we got our noodles in there. The water's not boiling yet, but I just said I gotta get some stuff off the counter. So I'm gonna add in some fresh Parm cheese. With my microplane.
That's what they're doing. So we conceivably could see China suddenly have some serious domestic issues in the coming years if they can't find.
Okay, so now that we have some awesomeness happening here, I'm gonna get this zucchini cut up, and I think I'm gonna do it in spirals, make it a little bit more fun. Okay, folks. So this is the gadget machine. This is the Star Frit. You can do all kinds of things with it. Different ways to grade up your stuff. So we're going to try the spiralizer method. So I don't know if it's going to work. It's pretty thick. Holy cow. Wowzers. Dangerous. There we go. So, there we have it. Zucchini. Now, I'm going to see if it's going to actually cut through the skin. So you put that onto the spikes. Push it up here. So it's all starting to thicken up. Just got to make sure that you are stirring and mixing it every few minutes. Coming out delicious. And there we have our spirals. I'm not going to do the spirals through the whole lasagna because my mom does not like zucchini. Yeah. And mom's going to be getting a piece of this. And our noodles have been in there long enough, just enough to get them somewhat soft. So I'm going to be taking those out right now and rinsing them with cold water so they don't keep continuing to cook. So you can see they're not fully cooked through and they're still all intact. They're not falling apart or anything. Very easy to work with. They're nice and cold now because I ran them under the cold water, and we can begin starting to layer up our stuff really soon. So I'm just using a casserole dish, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil in there. just so that the noodles don't get stuck to the sides. I don't know where my little silicone spreader is, but and we can start layering. I'm going to go in with the layer of noodles first. So the noodles fit in here perfectly, and what I do is I just overlap the little curl. And 3 noodles fits the bottom perfect. Now we're going to go in with the layer of sauce. And get a ladle for this. Sauce. Shut it off now. Spread it around. And usually I put spinach in mine, but our spinach all bolted really early, so the second batch isn't ready yet. Yeah, bummer. Okay, so there we got our layer of meat. Now, another layer of noodles. Gets a little bit wider here. There are noodles, more meat, and then this is where our zucchini comes in. Leave that other spot for Mom and Stepdad. And next, one of the secret ingredients. Cottage cheese. I keep this in the freezer too, but it's perfectly fine. Just got a little bit of excess water on the top, so just take that off. And there's your cottage cheese, straight from the freezer. Now we're doing a whole layer on the lasagna with this. Some of it's a little frozen still. Spread her around. Yeah, it gets a little sloppy. All right. Now we need another layer of noodles. Before that though, I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit more garlic powder and do some Parm cheese. Okay, Parm cheese it up. It's gotta be fresh too. Mind you, even if you have the canned stuff, it's still Parm, right? Alright. And then let's just do a little bit of cracked pepper. And then we're another layer of noodles. And there we go. 4 noodles. It gets wider upward on the casserole dish. So this will be our last layer, and it is going to be meat. Do you folks put anything different into your lasagnas? There we go. This is a Whopper. I usually can do my recipe so that I get 2 lasagnas out of the deal. And we're gonna do some cheese next. Okay, for the cheese, we're gonna use the big grater because I want lots of cheese. And the cheese, I keep like 5 or 6 of them in my freezer at all times, folks. Fine. Especially for the bigger, thicker bricks, they don't go crumbly. This was in the freezer, I think, since April. So this one wasn't that old. I didn't grab from the bottom. Silly me. Okay, cheese it up. Oh yeah. Yeah, so I think the only thing I'm missing here is the spinach. Okay. And our last layer of noodles. And then we'll come in with more cheese and spices on the top. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have 1 noodle left over. So it worked out perfect. Let's finish this thing off and then get it in the oven. Speaking of which, I'm going to set the temperature at 400 on bake right now. Actually, my preset is at 350, so I'll stick with 350. Alright, rock and roll. Okay, so for the top I have mozzarella cheese, oh man, it's gonna be delicious. The lasagna of the year. And I'm gonna do some parsley on the top, just the one from my shaker. few crushed chilies. Nothing crazy. And a little bit of chili powder on the top. Chili. Just to kind of give it that color. And for a bit of flavor. And last but not least, some pink Himalayan and some peppercorns. All right, now we're ready for the oven. So folks, see how full this thing is? It's going to bubble over in the oven. So I'm going to find a sheet, a cook sheet, to put it underneath it to catch anything that spills out over the edges. Okay, this should work. Yeah, it'll work perfect. There we go. Going in the oven. It's heavy. Now it's just time to wait. So I'm thinking I'll set the timer for around 40 minutes. That should give enough time for everything to heat up together and for the zucchini to cook. Yeah, so we'll see how it turns out at the end. Okay. Here's the lasagna you've been waiting for, Allie. Get over here. Oh, it turned out perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yum.
Crunchy.
Okay, I'll take it out. And it didn't look like we lost anything out the sides. Oh yeah, a little bit. That's what's sizzling. That's why you always put the pan underneath. You'll have to ask me about the time that I cooked my friend Rob's pizza, homemade pizza that he made. That'll be a story for a live stream. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Whew. There we go. We just gotta let her cool off and then we'll be able to dig in. Too bad I didn't have any homemade bread because it would have made beautiful garlic toast. But oh well, I couldn't do it all in one day. But I hope you guys enjoyed the cooking session with Northern Girl Hobbies, because I can actually cook and I do have hobbies. Don't let them tell you any different. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.